And here we go. We're back at the DreamHack Summer venue, of course, presenting to you the Heroes of the Storm Summer Championship live from Jönköping, Sweden. It is going to be a turning point in Heroes of the Storm history because for the first time, potentially, we can see a European team beat a Chinese or Asian team in general at this very tournament. So far, Team Naventic, of course, they were going strong against PBA, but that is still not considered to be a Korean or a Chinese overlord team. So this is really where we get to see how strong the West currently is and how much they have improved. On the panel here, I am joined by Calder, brought some European reinforcements for this.
Finally, right? I mean, I saw you earlier. You were like a bit outnumbered there, so I thought it would actually even up the odds.
Very cool to see. And of course, Wolf, again, providing some very good insights. How are you doing and how are you feeling about this series?
I'm feeling this is going to be a really good one. I think Dignitas maybe had a few things they needed to kind of warm up a little bit. Going to that first series, they didn't look the best, and I knew that they've spent a lot of time preparing. They had a weak performance at the regional, the second one, and they've had a lot of time to kind of work with their new roster with Alex, and yeah, maybe that first series wasn't the best, but I think they're going to look a little bit better going to the second one.
And as always, Jay-How, the giant next to me, who I feel so comfortable next to. How are you doing? You're still going strong.
I feel like I gave the cameraman a little bit of a test there. Yeah, man, things are good. I'm deterring from the thing. I'm actually looking at the monitor here. Outside looks so amazing. This stage is
it's
incredible.
beautiful.
I want to say the environment here is amazing. So if you guys didn't get to make it to DreamHack, hopefully you guys are getting a good show on the stage. I can't compliment enough. I'm so happy to be here.
It's such an incredible stage. I mean, it really, really is. And the crowd is really filling up today. It's getting pretty exciting.
Crowd is filling it up and making a lot of noise here for sure. So the atmosphere couldn't be better. For now, though, let's actually focus on the road to the Summer Championships. A lot of regions sent their best teams to compete at this very stage because there is a lot at stake here. Not only do we have, of course, the title of the Summer World Champion, but also there's a massive prize pool of a $500,000 in total provided by Blizzard. So they really went all in on this. And it's actually the biggest prize pool I think that DreamHack Summer has ever seen. So definitely you can see like how much weight they put into this tournament and Heroes of the Storm in general.
I feel like I should retire from this and become a pro gamer because it's looking really good, man. That's a pretty big prize pool. One of these teams, I mean, it's really interesting. Elegant was like, I don't really care if I get the money. I just want to win. Rich on MVP Black is like, I want the money. Like you can see, like
Elegant on X Team, he doesn't even know how much money there is in line, right?
Rich is like, I want that money, and I don't know what that symbol means, but he's like, I want that money, and I'm like, all right, I don't blame you.
Wouldn't say no to that either. So let's actually take a look at the bracket here as well. What has changed ever since the stream started? A lot has changed, let me tell you that. We see in the winners match, of course, My Insanity versus Tempest. Europe versus Korea is going to take place there. However, this upcoming series is going to be, of course, we have the Chinese team X Team versus the European champion from Leicester, Team Dignitas. A matchup that is very, very interesting because many people are still not convinced like how strong is Dignitas in their current form. What do you think about that, Jay-How?
You know, one of the interesting things was in between breaks, I actually checked some HGC hashtags and I checked out Bakery on there as well. And he said that the first set was not representative of who we are. And they're going to come back and they need to redeem themselves. But Caldor, I mean, that first series for them looked rough.
It looked rough, but I talked a lot with both of the teams throughout the days. They had great results in scrims against the Asian teams, and they said the first game is going to be very awkward for us because you see two teams go against each other that scrimmed a lot. They know they know their drafts very, very well, and both of them said we're very confident, but it depends a bit on the shape of the day. So I feel this was the most, I would say, awkward game for the two, and right now we're going to see a completely different Dignitas. I'm certain of it.
I think Dignitas has a lot more pressure than X Team does because I think if you're X Team, reasonably, well, you're expecting that you're probably going to end up in this losers match versus Tempest. They did put up a really good fight, but for Dignitas, I think you're expecting, okay, we got to go to the winners match. We want to have a second chance. And as you just said, you know, saying like, okay, it wasn't really indicative of our play style yet. You know, you saw it on Twitter. I wonder how much longer can Dignitas say that? A lot of fans are saying, well, maybe Fnatic would be a better European representative here. It's like, it's time to prove yourself on this stage. You can't keep losing and keep making excuses. You have to win.
It's a good point you make there, Wolf, because ever since Tours, we've heard a lot of excuses for their miserable performance. I don't want to sound like overly critical of Dignitas here, but at some point it was Bakery's disease. At some point it was just a new roster color.
No. I don't agree with that at all. I really believe that, like, I gave them the credit of the doubt in tour because they just said they had to. It's not only the roster swap. That's the one thing that we really have to highlight here again. They had a role swap within the team, and JPL is one of the best players in Europe, but his Tyrande was god-awful, and he's the first one to say that. He said, it wasn't the hero I was supposed to play, I need more time to make that transition, and they made it. If you compare their performance in scrims before tour started and now for this tournament, it's not even close. So both of you are completely right when you say they have to perform right now, but I believe that this lineup that they're running is so much stronger than what actually attended at tours itself.
To what Kaldor said at the very beginning, the fact that they faced My Insanity, a familiar foe. As we talked about earlier, Snitch right there was the last one that we saw, actually was talking about how they feel confident from their scrims and from what they've seen against these teams, and now they have a chance to prove it. Is their confidence well-founded because they're going to be going up here against X Team?
It's a great point. They have to perform now. There was a lot of talk. They have to show it right now.
Yeah.
After last series, I walked over and I was just like, guys, don't be tilted. And the first thing that every single member in that team was, they shrugged it off and said like, dude, don't even worry about it. We're not tilted. This is really an opponent that we know it would be tough, but we will perform against all of the Asian teams.
These teams that we're seeing, both of them have such a rich history in both of their regions. Dignitas, a very famous organization to other esports as well, has a lot on the line here because, again, it's about these excuses and their weak performances at tours. They lost their first match. They have a lot to prove, but I think for X Team as well, there's Chinese pride on the line. Yeah, E-Star was at the last regional. They're here again, or at the last championship to say they're here again. And for X Team, they don't want to get bombed out. They don't want to be the sister shadow team of E-Star. EDG, the team they beat to get here, did defeat E-Star, did go further than E-Star, and I think X Team wants to do the same.
I was going to say, with X Team beating OMG and EDG, and with EDG disbanding, of course, there is a gap in the Chinese scene right now. And X Team, if they perform well here, if they take down Dignitas and make it all the way to the Cyrus match, it is their time to shine and take that spot.
There's also another aspect that we should mention. We talked a lot about potential pocket drafts coming out and that teams were hiding strategies, that it was the early group stage. And Dignitas, they have these strategies. They haven't shown anything just yet. And if they do, they are going to show it here. If at some point in the series they think, okay, this is going to get way too close to comfort, they're going to show their pocket drafts. And then we're going to have a lot of fun here.
Do they start off with it in game one, or do they try and see how? Because if you go down one game, and then all of a sudden you're relying on a pocket strat for game two, is that a safe play or is that risky?
I think it depends on the maps. It also depends very much on how the maps are going to work out here, what kind of maps they get. You are right, there's always a risk, of course, but sometimes you're willing to take that risk if you feel you should be better than your opponent anyways. And with the scrim results that I've seen so far, okay, again, it's only training, but still, they feel very, very confident. They walked into that booth and they were like head held high and they said like, we got this.
This is what I keep hearing from Dignitas, is all these hidden strategies, all this confidence, whereas they seem much more confident than X Team. I think X Team is one of the most humble teams in this region along with PBA. And I think the X Team is basically looking at this saying, okay, we're going to play a reactionary draft. We're going to try to play this like standard. And I'm excited to see how that's going to clash with potentially those hidden picks.
All right, both teams are slowly but surely getting ready. So it is our time now to tell you guys out there what the first battleground is going to be. And once again, we have Dragonshire. And I know that a lot of people will be very happy about this. Kaldor is all smiles.
Yes, I am, because there's a few things that I can definitely see happening here, and it's also one of those maps that we haven't really seen in this tournament too much, so it's pretty cool for us, first of all, that we shake things up a little bit, and it's also one of the maps where we could see great things from Dignitas.
I've been hearing from the Dignitas players, they've streamed with Korean teams a ton, and Dignitas is always the team in Korea, especially even going to last championship, that the Koreans respected the most. I was like, oh, Bakery is the best support, and Korea is a very strong region. They've been saying they're doing well, and going into Cursed Hall is their pick. I think that's one of Korea's strongest maps, so I think if they do win this first game, they could just take the series 2-0.
If I'm not wrong, the teams also scrimmed a little bit against each other, and some of those weird picks could even be banned out by X Team. I am so hyped for this one, and this is going to be absolutely brutal. And I love that it's Dragonshire.
Are we seeing a switch in ban picks, and that if you first ban Illidan, you're forcing the other team to ban out Kael'thas to see if you can get Kael'thas?
Ah, there we go.
Kael'thas is turning the tides single-handedly at this event.
He is.
It's the fear of Lily. you pick Illidan and Ili take.
They don't want to
takes
go
it
on
down.
another adventure, that's for sure.
I think taking ETC away here is not a bad idea, but they want to go for the wave clear instead. And don't forget that Paradise's best hero by far and the hero he plays the most is Thrall, so they're going to prioritize him here.
Huge focus again on Zul. It's really a hero that, especially in the Chinese meta, is absolute priority. We have seen him played by all the Chinese teams here at the tournament, and once again, X team, they go for an early Zul. The rotations are going to be strong, the wave clear is there, and they love to go for these heavy engage comps that are forcing a battle, and Zul with the Bone Prison and his push forward is one of the heroes that makes that happen.
Can you maybe elaborate on the fact why X Team goes on a very heavy start on very melee heavy start here, although they're fighting a Kel'Thas whose living bombs can spread quite heavily?
What China really likes to play is very engage-heavy compositions that are forcing team fights, and they really love to just rush over an opponent. It's an aggressive playstyle. They like to set up their traps. With Zul's Bone Prism, they already have one of these things. They have also, with those heavy engages, Poison Nova, which is the dominant heroic to be picked by the Chinese teams. And right now, with the Thrall already, you can see that it's a very aggressive setup. You're trying to push into your opponent, and they're just trying to apply so much pressure in those fights that the opponent is basically just crumbling and never has the chance to get that damage out with poke.
The big hero I'm looking at here when I look at what X Team is building is Tyrael. Is he going to be seen here with these melee heroes versus the Kael'thas? And I think that's something that we really have to think about because China loves their Tyrael, and with this melee style, we might see that crazy dive and vulnerability comp.
All right, quick thing. Look at the time pool. We are at the third pick, and Dignitas waited an eternity to pick Rhaegar. The reason why they waited this long is that they're currently already thinking about, okay, what do we show here? How much do we show? Could they ban it out against us? And they were really thinking, do we have to maybe reveal a pick here? And they don't, and they go for Rhaegar. And I feel like in this case, they're playing it safe, first of all. They allow X Team, if they their homework, to maybe ban a hero out, but so far they're just hovering over a Tassadar, which would be still very, very standard.
Does Tassadar basically scream Zeratul?
Not entirely sure about that. I think the Tassadar here is more focused on wave clear and doing the rotation between the bot and the mid, leaving something up top to handle that. Here's one invulnerability gone with Uther banned, but this does allow Tyrael to be picked up for X Team going forward.
I think a Zeratul for X Team would be a really bad pick in my opinion, since they already run Thrall, they have Zul, they would force such a melee heavy combo, and Zeratul doesn't really cater to the style that they're using here.
But I mean, you were referring to Dignitas, right? Because it's banned now, and so you can take it without being revealed all the time. Or was that not your thought process?
The way that we've seen X Team at various points, their melee heavy comp, I believe they're the ones that went really deep melee ones.
Okay, guys, this is where it gets cool. Now we could. I really hope that they're pulling it, but let's wait. Dignitas in this case, they are up against the Tigers right now. Of course, the pressure against Muradin, but they had some cool strategies here, and this is really the series that matters for them.
Yeah.
The Dignitas, they have their stuff.
And let's see what they want to pick here. Obviously, they do have one of the three, an assassin, a tank, and a support. So these two next picks are going to be really important. They do have good wave clear with Kael'thas. And I'm like, I don't want to predict anything here because Keller's giving this weird smile where I'm like, I think he knows what might happen, but I'm not.
If they're playing it safe, they go Sonya.
If they play a safe game right now, that would basically say that they are super confident in their ability to take down X Team.
Oh, there's Vikings!
There they go!
There they are!
We have the Vikings coming in, so that's already pretty cool. So already Vikings coming into play. That is something that we have seen, of course, mostly by European teams, especially My Insanity in the past has been very known for it. Team Liquid has been known to run the Vikings as well. Dignitas already shaking it up.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Calder, I mean, European teams are known to bring out those little Vikings, even on a map like Dragonshark, because, of course, a single Viking can block a shrine, a single Viking can hop into that Dragon Knight.
And looking at the composition for X Team, they don't have much of a hunting comp to kill the Vikings. They can't grab Zeratul anymore. They don't have a support. It's probably going to be Karzium that gets locked in here. And Karzium 7-sided strike, for example, very terrible versus the Vikings because it splits the strikes.
I also want to quickly point out that they hovered over an Arthas for a moment, which in general, if you look at the composition, is not a horrible choice, since this is another heavy frontliner that can protect your Kael'thas, and he also has the damage output. I feel one of the reasons that they went into Sonya is that they realized that with Azul, Thrall, and Tychus, there's way too much damage against high hit point heroes. You have Thrall later on with the Giant Killer, you have Zul with the Giant's Curse, which we have seen a lot. And then on top of that, you have a Tychus who is the tank killer in the game right now. So switching it over to a Sonya who has a bit more escape than an Arthur's, also a little bit of a lower hit point pool. She has the whirlwind to keep herself
Right.
alive. It's a pretty good choice.
I'm really worried about the Vikings being able to put up with the heavy lane pressure early on with Zul pushing the lanes with his skeletons. Obviously, Tychus can go in and blow somebody up. He can chase down and kill a Viking, and also the ETC. I think if they can survive the early game and get that soak, they will be in good shape, and I do like their draft going forward. But I think in the very early game, can they deal with that hard pressure of Zul? Not so sold on it.
To say that Dignitas didn't just create the moment of the day by picking Vikings on Dragonshire is an understatement. That to me is not something we see that often. Kendrick actually talked about it before we even started this draft on this map, that it was a possibility, and sure enough, it got picked up. And I know that Kaldor's very happy about it.
Why don't you just keep on talking,
Yeah.
Jo, though, and let us know who you think is going to take home that first game.
Toss
a
up.
hard
give,
one.
give me X team on this one.
All right.
I'm going to have to go with X Team as well.
And Calder, I mean, you're not going to agree with those fellas, right?
Do you actually have to ask me?
Right, yeah, that's my man. That's my man.
I have to represent my region here. I'm really sorry, but Europe has this lockdown, like no question about it.
And who am I to disagree with that? I mean, Dignitas, of course, I really want them to succeed. I really want to see this roster successful here at the Summer Championship. So I'm going to go with Dignitas as well. Make it a 50-50 here in terms of predictions. For now, though, let's actually throw it over to our lovely casters, Gillyweed and Todd, who will take you through game number 1 between those two great teams.
Thank you, friends. I'm here with Todd. Todd, what do you think of those drafts?
Wow. It's so cool to see Vikings come out here, and I can't wait to see if they're able to pull it off, because it's a high-pressure moment here for Team Dignitas.
It really is. It's high pressure for both of the teams. Lose this series and you are out of the tournament. So let's introduce them. In the blue is Team Dignitas, with JPL playing Sonya, Bakery playing Rhaegar, the Lost Vikings played by Snitch, Mene playing Kael'thas, and Alex the Pro G playing Muradin.
And their opponents, starting on the right-hand side, playing as the red team, it's of course going to be X Team with Elegant on the ETC, Paradise on the Thrall, Tao on Karazim, Misaka on Sul, and Yao Yao on the Tychus.
So looking at some of the heroes that X Team has picked up, I know they have a lot of comfort picks, which is always a big deal for X Team specifically, but they will have to be watching out for that split pressure from the Vikings. There is a good chance that they're able to keep up with that, though, with Zul, because he can rotate between lanes and keep up with that. But wherever the four-man push tends to go, that's where they need to start sending people, if that's the way that Dignitas wants to play this out.
Absolutely. Something I'm really happy about here for Dignitas is that this time around, they've got the Kael'thas. They played against My Insanity earlier. In the first game, he was taken away. In the second game, he was banned. Mene is known as one of the best ranged assassins in Europe, maybe even in the world. And the one hero he shines on the most is always Kael'thas.
Yeah, that's such a great point you make. At the first regionals for Europe, they were really the only EU team that was fully prioritizing Kael'thas over Li Ming. Not even picking up Li Ming if she wasn't available. And Kael'thas ended up having an insane win rate at that event. He was so impactful. And so I know that although Mene showed us some great Li Ming play earlier versus My Insanity, I know he's very happy to have Kael'thas here.
Definitely will be. It's interesting to see the Vikings just kind of staying together here for now at the top with Snitch playing it. We'll see whenever that changes here with the first shrines coming up into play here eventually. And so far the rotations have been good from X Team. They haven't caught anybody, but they almost get very close to it here with Alex running around.
Yeah, and they're keeping up with experience, which they'll need to continue to do throughout. Alex starting to rotate, and we'll see if they want to go for a full-on fight. But with Misaka having Zul in the rotations between mid and bot, it's a lot of pressure to deal with those skeletons.
Reverberation, by the way, is going to be great here to have on the Muradin against this many melee heroes.
Absolutely. Even with Karazim, too, you can try to slow down his healing just a little bit for the team.
JPL gets caught here a little bit. He's going to have to be careful.
Both of the shrines being held by Team Dignitas for now. It's a nice thing with extra bodies. You can always send someone up to a shrine, but with Paradise in the solo lane, he's such a good solo lane hero to have as Thrall, and he's making the Balog and Olaf's lives a little bit more difficult there in the top.
Misaka took a bit of damage at bottom, but Dignitas went very far here for this. And Alex gets caught and sniped.
That would be a perfect bone prison to secure first blood for X Team, and with that, they maintain control of at least one of the shrines and continue those rotations. They're trying to get where they can drain the ammo of the towers, because then it becomes a lot harder for Team Dignitas to try to rotate in and get those shrines back, and may allow X Team later on to get structures and even a Dragon Knight.
Yeah, you think that with Muradin having Dwarf Toast, oh, actually Rhaegar's gonna get jumped on top of here.
Will he go down? He does. That was it was a good follow-up from
Yeah.
Elegant. The power slide right after the bone prison, and they have to be very careful with that. As if you can't, he went into Ghost Wolf form to try to get away, just didn't quite get back far enough before he was caught with that.
X Team doing what X Team does best: rotations, catching heroes out of position, punishing for it, and they're gonna get a nice experience this year. As I was saying, well, Eric's gonna fall, but not that important, I guess, for now. But yeah, with Muradin, it's very easy to start thinking that you can't really die because you got the World Dwarf Toss Sonya in the middle of the map, gets caught, barely gets out. That was close. But yeah, Alex is gonna have to fix, you know, the way he gets overeager because he's been getting caught a lot, not just in this map so far, but in the earlier series against My Insanity as well. And he was on Muradin that time too.
Right. It seems like the communication is just a little bit off. When everybody else is backing off, then Alex is the one that is going in, and it's just not everybody on the same page. And we're going to be losing a lot of Vikings here, guys. That's just part of the game when you play with Lost Vikings, but it's only a little bit of experience. But stack that up over time, and X Team do have a slight experience advantage, picking up 7 talents ahead of their opponents.
Absolutely. I'm sure they won't mind here taking that early leads as they are threatening here to get the Dragon Knight. Nobody's going to interrupt Tao, and it's going to be a very safe and easy 4 minutes Dragon Knight here coming into play.
Yeah, we're looking at an early Dragon Knight, so they'll try to take down as many towers as they can, maybe even start sieging up this mid fort, or at least get the well so they can't reinitiate as easily.
And with how well they're doing here, X Team, I don't even mind putting the healer here in the Dragon Knight. They don't really have anything to fear in particular. Oh, Elegant actually going kind of deep here. Whoa!
Whoa, big power slide, but they can't follow up as much, and no heals from Tao. But Alex is getting melted down, and that's the power of having Tychus, as he does have minigun that he can activate to do more damage, especially to higher health heroes. They at least take down a fort, so that will switch out the experience, even though they do lose Elegant in that fight.
That's such a fast forward snipe here in this game. Thanks to the Dragon Knights, they still have their experience lead. Doing fantastic here, X Team.
Yeah, they continue working on making sure they're getting all of the soak in the lanes, rotating between the two, trying to get heroic abilities in front of their opponents so they can once again control the shrines and look toward the next Dragon Knight too.
Both of the clans here come into play. Snitch at the top, almost losing another one of the Vikings. Gonna have to head on back home to heal. Misaka at bottom gets caught a little bit, but it seems like he's so hard to snipe, and every time that Dignitas goes for it, X Team are ready to just come, help him, and punish.
Yeah, it's a great thing about Dragonfire too, is the lanes are pretty close. So as long as they are watching out for those rotations like that, they have the power to rotate and come in and save if they need to. And he just quickly throws down his bone prison, and so then it's like, well, are they going to rotate in and kill me if I get caught by this? And you have to back out.
Honestly, I really like the draft here of X Team. You know, having ETC and Zul together, they got so much, you know, stun and lockdown that if anybody's out of position, even for 1 second, they're gonna fall. And in terms of escape, sure, you got Muradin with a Dwarf Toss, but if Sonya and Rhaegar, either of these two gets caught, that's gonna be a snipe almost every single time. So maybe Dignitas had to play a little bit more defensive, and so far, you know, they got caught a few times, and that definitely helped X Team gain an experience lead here in map number 1.
Yeah, that's something you and I talked about too while the draft was going on once Vikings came out, is that Vikings up against Zul is not necessarily ideal because Zul can basically control 2 lanes by himself, as we see Misaka rotating between them, just keeping them pushed. And then so it's like kind of negates what you're trying to go for with the Vikings in a lot of ways. And because of that, X Team have had the lead basically this entire game.
I love how Elegant was standing there waiting to try and see if somebody was going to try and come and contest. Misaka getting caught out of position. But every single time he escaped with low hit points, X Team ends up turning and winning the fight themselves if they do end up taking the fight.
Stormbolt from Alex flies out and stops Elegant from trying to attack them, but he's going to see them there and may go for the power slide for his team to follow up. He has Mosh Pit. Will he drop it, though? He gets stunned out from it, potentially. Here comes the Sundering, and there's a big Mosh Pit. Hits a couple of members, and Sonya will drop. They're continuing the fight. Bone Prison will hit Alex Pro G, and he dwarf tosses away out of the fight. It'll only be 1 kill for X Team, but it's when the shrines are up and available.
Yeah, it feels like it could have been a lot worse for X Team. It also could have been a lot better there. They turned this around very quick, and I mean, from there, I guess they're still gonna have a slight experience leads. I guess the race for the Dragon Knight is gonna continue. And for now, it does look like that's X Team in the driver's seat here and likely to secure the next Dragon Knight.
Yeah, they
Top
already have...
can't even be contested.
And ETC is in position to pick this up too. No Vikings are going to get up there versus Misaka. And another Dragon Knight to X Team for them to start sieging down. I like that they're going to the bottom lane too, because bottom lane, that's where there are a lot of mercenary camps. So if they can open up that avenue, especially if they can get some kills here, that is Olaf. He will get away.
I'm starting to be really worried here for Team Dignitas. You know, they had a rough series against My Insanity earlier. Now they go for their secret strategy, the Lost Vikings, and it's not looking good at all so far. It really hasn't done much for them.
Right, and when you draft something that is your pocket pick, your secret strategy, you're willing to reveal it, and then if you potentially end up losing with that, that can be a hard blow to the team's morale, since that was kind of your ace in the hole, if you will.
Absolutely, yeah. The Drake and Laser Drill with Mosh Pit, if it lands, is just so nice, by the way. Like, Tychus is just gonna do so much damage.
Yeah, and with the build that he's starting to go into too, he's really focusing on single target. Sometimes we'll see going into more of the that's the stuff healing at 13 and get the increased minigun duration at 4, but with getting the bigger they are, doing more damage if you're at high health, and then seeing Spray and Pray probably going to get more damage at 16 for Overkill 2. They're just focusing on being able to burn somebody down. Even if it's Muradin, if they find Muradin or Sonya, then they'll just be able to take them out really fast.
Yeah. And actually, Team Dignitas, it feels like they maybe will lack a little bit of damage unless they can get a very, very good engagement. So those engagements and team fights, obviously, you know, gonna be key. But on a map where rotations are very important and can lead up to getting big advantages, so far, X Team is just running the show entirely.
Speaking of the Vikings, by the way, they did get play again.
Yeah.
This is an EU classic. But they won't have extra damage from Longboat Raid. Here we go into a fight, and this is an X Team that's pretty far forward. Paradise does throw out Sundering, but may not get away from here. There's a shielding to help, and Elegant with a huge mosh pit. Once again, these mosh pits have just been unreal from this team. They haven't killed anybody yet. Here comes play again with the Vikings. Eric immediately goes down out of that. Elegant still just trying to escape and gets away from the team. Team Dignitas, even though they found X Team clear on their side of the battleground, is not able to secure a kill.
It felt like a good engagement here from Team Dignitas, but somehow, every single time, X Team finds a way to just snipe somebody, even if it's just one of the Vikings, and then ends up ejecting away from the fight. There's really not much that can chase them down, keep them in place so that they can get blown up. So unless somebody really is out of position and dies instantly, I guess they're going to want to look to continue and take this kind of fight here. Because they come out ahead pretty much every single time, even though I guess Ancestral Healing wasn't used in the last fight here from Team Dignitas.
Yeah, that is one nice thing going for Dignitas, but unfortunately for them, X Team is getting pretty close to their 16 talents. Shrines are available, and this is the time for Team Dignitas to make something happen if they're going to. Another Viking getting caught, and they're on the chase. They will take that advantage. They also have taken the top shrine, but Team Dignitas holding on to bottom and trying to get some structural damage to even out that experience.
Trial with the Giant Killer picked earlier. They're looking for a fight here, our X Team. Actually, they only 4 down there, but Zul's not too far. He's going to rejoin them.
They're not 16 yet, but they think they can take this fight. The Sundering has been thrown out, and JPL needs the healing, gets hit with Ancestral Healing, and goes and finds Tao, who gets hit by the Divine Palm, and it will connect. He gets back into the fight. Rhaegar goes down, but so does Zul. It's a 1-for-1, and Yao Yao's pretty low. The Vikings are chasing after him, and Alex jumps in, taking him down.
And Tao gets out barely for now. He's going to get chased down here a little bit. Dignitas doesn't want to slow down. They took the upper end here. Paradise actually going to get out. No! He gets cancelled at the last second down there. He was about to get out of there, but I think he's going to go down instead.
He's going to try to get away, but doesn't have much, and that's a big living bomb with that. Will drop, and that's exactly what Team Dignitas needed. They get 3 kills, they only lose Rhaegar, and now with so many Vikings, they're already setting up to get into position so they can pick up their first Dragon Knight.
They're all caught up on experience here. All of a sudden, a beautiful flame strike from Mene canceled the Hearthstone here at the last second from Thrall, and then they made sure that they got the takedown here right behind this. Finally, Dignitas picking up some momentum here in map number 1.
It's interesting that X Team wanted to fight there since they didn't have their 16 talents yet. If they had just waited a little bit longer, let Misaka soak a couple of more waves, they would have had their 16 talents, and that might have been a different story, but that's not the case. Tao is trying to stall out Snitch from getting this Dragon Knight, and they do. They actually stop Team Dignitas from getting the Dragon.
Tao's a ninja. He's like jumping all over the place.
Yeah, he's
doing
Karazim.
really well.
He's a monk.
Snitch trying to recap the top shrine here. It's going to be, I guess, interrupted by Misaka. Actually, in terms of like rotation and making sure that they get a top shrine, it feels like it's going to have to be somebody else than just one single Viking.
Yeah.
Because if Misaka's there, he's just never going to let that happen.
There's a lot of heroes that way, right? You've got Paradise as Thrall, you've got Misaka too. They can't just get it with one Viking.
Yeah.
It's not a situation where they can spread out. If they win another team fight like that, sure, but not in the case where everyone is up from X team. There's Skeletal Mages though, they've been dropped. We're gonna go into a potential fight, but they don't get caught. Team Dignitas move away from the Skeletal Mages, and so they've at least burned that cooldown from Zul and get the top shrine with one of the Vikings. And so as long as everyone's up for Dig, it's kind of hard for X team to be able to get these now.
Absolutely, and maybe it was a bit early here for Skeletal Mages to be used, and I like the choice to eject from Team Dignitas. But yeah, as I was pointing out, if Misaka stays top, then that top shrine will never be Dignitas's. But then if he stays there, he won't be in the fights happening at the bottom, and ETC gets caught out of position. This is what Dignitas was waiting for the entire game here, for somebody to just overstep a little bit, punish, and now they're gonna try to get that Dragon Knight, and it's gonna be so hard for X Team to actually stop it. I don't think they can.
Nope, there's Snitch picking up the Dragon Knight with one of the Vikings, and yeah, Elegant just walked right into that bush with a lot of members of Team Dignitas there and paid for it with his life. And now with the Dragon Knight, Team Dignitas are looking to take out some of these structures. Yao Yao is down here along with Tao and Paradise to try to defend as best they can. With the builds that they all are going, you mentioned Giant Killer with Thrall, but then also there's Giant's Curse for Azul, and then going into that single target damage I mentioned before for Tychus, they have the potential to just snipe somebody and take them out really fast, especially if it's one of those warriors.
And next thing you know, Dignitas has the experience lead. They're still soaking in mid and at top, thanks to the Vikings here. Snitch using that last one inside the Dragon Knight as well to do more structural damage. Dignitas, it took some time for them to, pick up momentum here in this game, but right now they're looking pretty good.
X Team wants a fight right here. They're trying to catch somebody with Mosh Pit, maybe a Sundering.
They have all of their ultimates, and Dignitas are missing too. If X Team could force an engagement now, it would just be great for them, and I think Dignitas knows that, but they're still hanging around here a little bit.
Yeah, they're checking.
Dignitas cannot fight.
They're scouting with Eric. They will lose Eric, but that's obviously much better than another hero. So they know that is where X Team is. They have a lot of members there, but they've been soaking all of the lanes this whole time, and all of X Team is in the bottom lane. As you can see, Veilog was in the middle, Olaf is in the top, and that means that Team Dignitas is getting ever closer to Storm Tier talents.
Which is going to be so important here in this game if they can get another Dragon Knight, by the way. This is going to get really scary here this late into a game. It's going to do so much damage, so very important to get the next one. Muradin almost get caught out of position here as JPL takes so much damage too.
That's a big mosh pit though, Todd, and with behind it the Dragon Laser Drill, Sonya melts. The Divine Palm connects and keeps Elegant in the fight. And with Skeletal Mages, it was so hard for them to try to engage into that and get their teammates out, and that is how they got back in experience. Now X Team has tied it up once again, both teams neck and neck to get Storm Talent.
What a palm. The Living Bong actually triggered the palm here on the ETC. And X Team, all of a sudden, even though they hadn't done that well in the previous fight and in the last few minutes, they managed to get a keep here out of this. Yeah, they did really well.
I have to commend Tao as well. Actually, I might not get the chance because there goes Elliot with another power slide. Alex the Pro G Dwarf tosses away, but they have to use Ancestral Healing because Yao Yao was right in position to start throwing down the overkill damage. He barely escaped.
Yeah, a very action-packed game here. There is the Knights at the top doing a lot of damage to that fort on the right-hand side, but right now X Team are going to be in a great position to try and secure another Dragon Knight, and it looks like Dignitas wants to try and maybe catch Misaka at the top. He's going to pull back just on time.
Yeah, the nice thing is they get the 4 off of that, which yields some experience, but also means that Misaka had to come in and clear out that lane to try to push it back up into here.
Ancestral is going to be done for a very long time and won't be there in this fight. I don't think Team Dignitas can fight just yet, but Mosh Pit is missing as well. Do they go for it?
We'll have to see. They know where Veilog is at least, but not caring too much about him. They really want to get this Dragon Knight, but of course Team Dignitas with the Vikings are rotating Eric down to pick up the other shrine, so they're just delaying. They're delaying until they can get all of those heroics back up and win a team fight there.
Actually, this camp coming in from the bottom lane here for X Team. He's actually going to town on the keep.
Wow.
How convenient.
Yeah, it's going straight for the middle keep. And with taking out the fort too, they are getting low on structure. They find yet another Viking. These Vikings have had had a difficult time this
Yeah,
game.
I mean, it's a great comp from X Team to deal with them. Alex being far at the front right now. X Team, when they want to fight, by the way. They just get right in there. The mosh pits have been key for them winning the previous fights. Can Elegant land another one?
Yeah, they've been pretty patient with them so far, and we've seen that from not only X Team, but eStar 2 in general. Just a very important mosh pit. Misaka's in trouble, and Alex is jumping right on top of that Zul. Here comes the power slide, but a gravity lap stops the mosh pit immediately. Divine Palm doesn't connect. Actually, it does. The living bomb damage will proc it, and Murden in that time gets taken out, and now X Team want to get back into this fight. They want to catch somebody else. They know JPL is right there. Gets healed right back up and eliminates Zul. It's now a 1v1, and this is huge for Team Dignitas. They take out Karazim, and they're chasing down Elegant and Paradise.
What a move. They faked that. They wanted to pull back, but JPL was waiting in the bush. They turn around, and they get 2 takedown. Bakery going a little bit far here. Gonna have to be careful. Almost was under the fort, and now this could very well be a Dragon Knight. Again, this late in a game, that Dragon Knight becomes so much scarier than previously. Does so much structural damage, and you know, it could mean a fort, even maybe a keep here for Team Dignitas if they were able to secure it. But
Yeah.
they're just gonna send one of the Vikings to the top to secure that shrine.
Dig definitely need a keep here. They need to open up a way to win the game. So if they do win a big team fight like that, again, they can go to core. Because these team fights have just been very volatile. Sometimes they win them like that, they get a few members down, but sometimes it happens just the opposite, where they lose enough that X Team, who has a keep down, can be the ones to try to go in. There's Ignore Pain being popped by JPL. That's a nice thing that X Team can bait out.
They were trying to take a 3 and a third against a versus 3 here if they could. But X Team just gonna pull back for now. But they're gonna be forced into a fight here, I think, in the second X Team.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
no, actually, the Dragon Knight gets secured before. Big move here for Team Dignitas, who are still missing quite a few ultimates here.
Everybody's up from X Team. They don't have Mosh Pit, but they have everything else at their disposal. And focusing diodes at level 20 for Tychus, so potentially a lot more damage that laser drill can do.
Yeah.
You may see them use it here if Team Dignitas starts to push in too much as the defense.
Yeah, ETC with Bolt of the Storm, with the Mosh Piece that he's been able to land so far. If he lands a big one here, this could be the big game winner here for them.
Yeah, they're looking at it. Mosh Pit is ready. Look how fast they took down the dragon with the laser drill. There's a Mosh Pit. It only hits the dragon.
Okay, that was awful.
Yeah,
Mene stayed
rough.
very far back as well to make sure he could land the gravity laps. Not sure why Elegant kind of lost patience here. It looked like Dignitas were even kind of going to pull back. Maybe he got afraid that the keep would die. They saved that for now, though.
They do. It's pretty low, but they've saved it. And Dignitas stealing away the Giants, trying to see if maybe someone from X Team will come down and check these so they can find a kill again. But this is evened out quite a lot between both of these teams. There's just one keep down, but in that same lane, X Team's keep is very low. They are, of course, caught back up in experience. They don't have to worry about getting behind those Vikings split pushing.
Absolutely, yeah. With Mosh Pit being gone this long, and Drake and Laser Drill as well, I would like to see Dignitas actually get to that bottom lane and make sure that they get this keep very soon before those ultimates come back, because they've got all of theirs. Like, they should be looking to take a fight here right now. And actually, this could be a big overextension from X Team to move down there just to try and contest the hot camp.
Cleanse lets Elegant get out of the gravity labs, making sure he doesn't get blown up again. They knew that Dignitas was somewhere. They just weren't quite sure where they were running for these. They want to protect this bottom lane. They don't want to lose their keep here because they know they have the catapult advantage here. And so they clear out these bruisers fast. But again, the other lanes are getting pushed from the Vikings while they keep everyone down here in the bottom. They are worried to separate everybody.
Mosh Pit is still down for another 30 seconds, but X Team wants to fight here no matter what. Wrath of the Berserker was already used. I guess some of the Vikings are gone away from this. So maybe they want to try and engage into the rest of the composition here of Team Dignitas. But now, almost all of the ultimates will be back here in a second, including Mosh Pit in 10 seconds. And they go again for the fight.
Gravity Labs hits Paradise, and that's a problem. They already have to use Divine Palm, but Alex the Prodigy is dwarf tossed out. Paradise is taken out. Ancestral Healing keeps Mene alive. Misaka was in the back trying to kill him, and they've brought down 3 people. This could be it for Dig.
Yeah, X Team overextended big time. Yao. Way too far off his depth here.
Okay, we're gonna look at a replay of that again. X Team got really separated from this. They tried to use Sundering to do that, but ended up getting separated themselves. Misako was really far in the back. They were focusing on different targets.
Maybe some miscommunication because Mosh Pit came back while this fight was happening. This is not what you want. You want to have it as soon as the fight starts because then you can kind of pick when you use it and how well you land it. And now it looks like Dignitas, they're just going to go for the core. They're happy to see those 20+ seconds timer. And I think they're going to get it here with the Dragon Knight being there. A massive overextension from X Team. I can't believe this just happened here.
The game was so close, but one fight made all the difference for Team Dignitas at the end. Able to pull apart X Team not quite being ready maybe for that fight because of the mosh pit, maybe with the positioning too. And that's huge. That's putting Dignitas up 1-0 in this best of 3 and closer to being able to eliminate their opponents.
Poor X Team. It feels like they opened very well every single game, but then they end up somehow not doing nearly as well in the mid game, and they kind of fall apart in the late game. But their last 3 maps, previously against Team Tempest and now against Dignitas, have all gone the same way. They get an early lead and they just can't keep it.
Well, they've got to take a deep breath because they need to win the next 2 games if they want another chance at making it out of the groups. But before we get too much into this game, let's check in with our analysts to see what they thought of it.